Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Midday Live on TV3. My name is Efua Tioku.
And I am Bright Nana Amfor. Coming up this afternoon,
A former Vice President Pakwesi Mr. Arthur dies at 37 Military Hospital. We have tributes pouring in from all parts of the country.
And also coming up this afternoon, we'll tell you more about that. But the Information Ministry insists government follow due processes in removing the chair of the Electoral Commission and her deputies. A petrol tanker has caught fire in Nigeria's biggest city, Lagos, killing at least 9 persons. And thanks so much for staying there. Now to our first story. Former Vice President Pakwesi Bekwai Emisatha has died. Mr. Emisatha has served under the John Mahama administration from August 2012 to January 2017. He died this morning in Accra. Sources say Emisatha, who was a former governor of the Bank of Ghana, collapsed at the Air Force gym early Friday and was rushed to the 37 Military Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Family members and people close to the situation at the facility confirmed the news while describing the atmosphere as shocking. Pakwesi Bekwai Emisatha is an economist, academic, and a politician who was the 6th Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. He was in office from August 2012 until January 2017 under President John Dramani Mahama. Previously, he was a governor of a Bank of Ghana from 2009 to 2012. He was sworn in as Vice President on 6 August 2012, following vetting by the Parliament of Ghana. He was nominated by President John Dramani Mahama to be his Vice President a week after Mahama himself was sworn in, following the death of John Atta Mills on July 24, 2012. Emisatha was born on April 29, 1951 at Cape Coast, the capital of the central region of Ghana. His mother is from the Hatchford family and his father from the Emisatha family. Both families originated from Cape Coast. He completed his secondary education at Mfansipim School, where he obtained the GCE and A-levels in 1971. He proceeded to the University of Ghana at Legon, where he obtained a BSc in 1974 and an MSc in 1976, both in economics.
So meanwhile, the family of former Vice President Pakwesi Mr. Arthur have issued a statement about the unfortunate demise of the former Vice President. The statement signed by the former Vice President's brother Jabesh, Mr. Arthur, on behalf of the family reads, "With deep regret, we announce the sudden demise of the immediate past Vice President of the Republic of Ghana." The statement said the family is grateful for the outpouring of love and support in the moment of their grief. The family promises to keep the public informed about funeral arrangements in due course. However, the family wishes the media to give it some privacy in these difficult times.
Also staying on the death of the former Vice President, and scores of people keep trooping to the home of the family of the late former Vice President Pakwesi Emisatha at North Ola in Cape Coast in the central region. Looking very sorrowful, they are seen chatting in groups, expressing shock at the news that broke early Friday morning. The Cape Coast South constituency chairman of the NDC, Kranchi Taylor, in an interview says the news of the demise of the former vice president is a big blow to the party, especially when they were with him just last Saturday during the party's elections.
Meanwhile, national organizer of the NDC, Kofi Adams, says the party is in shock over the death of the former Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur. According to Kofi Adams, former President John Dramani Mahama has cut short his trip to Germany and racing back to Accra following the death of former Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur Friday morning. He spoke to the media at the 37 Military Hospital, where the former Vice President is reported to have died.
We, after the yesterday's act by His Excellency the President to remove the Electoral Commissioner and the 2 deputies from office, we, the actors in the political activities of this country, decided to assemble this morning at Obrasport. Unfortunately, we woke up to a very sad news, and so we have had no other cause but to have to cancel that gathering because of the sad news that we've heard. Meanwhile, the details of this sad news will be announced by the family later. And so I would not want anyone to ask me about the details or otherwise, but the truth is that Ghana is mourning, NDC is mourning. This was a great person. Indeed, you cannot write the history of this party and ignore his contribution at various levels, at various times when it was needed most. He has counted and continue to count. This was a very strong person we are talking about. On Wednesday, we had a long meeting that started from about 10 o'clock in the morning, traveled all the way to about 2, 3 o'clock. We were all there at the Council of Elders meeting. Again yesterday, the book launch event, he was there. This morning, he was doing the normal things that he does. And, oh God. Okay.
Have you heard any word from the former president, John Mahama?
On our way here, we spoke. I spoke with him. He's not in the country. He will be airborne by now.
Since the morning and the early hours of the morning when the news of the death of the former Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur was reported in the media, lots of people have been trooping in here at the 37 Military Hospital to confirm, indeed, whether what they are hearing is true or not. What I can tell you is that the 37 Military Hospital has put together enough measures to control the expected traffic here. Lots of people who are running in here to find out what the situation is with what they are hearing in the media. I can see about 8 military personnel. You can see one at the entrance at the moment, just engaging anybody who walks through the 37 Military Hospital to find out exactly why they're coming in here. The people who identify themselves as those who would want to come in and confirm the news of the death of the former Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur are directed to a particular area. The national organizer of the NDC, Kofi Adams, has been here already, engaged with the hospital authorities as to exactly what happened and the circumstances that led to the death of the former Vice President. You can hear some people wailing behind me now, just walking in. There's a number of them clothed in funeral clothing, also to come and mourn with those who are here. The police is on hand to direct and control the vehicular and human traffic that is suspected and already here at the 37 Military Hospital. Now, Kofi Adams is saying that the former president, John Dramani Mahama, is out of town, but because of this news, he is plane and back to Ghana to find out exactly what happened that led to the death of his right-hand man, Pakwesi Mr. Arthur, former Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. Exactly 2 months ago, on April 29th, he turned 67 years old. 2 months on, June 29, he is no more. From the 37 Military Hospital, my name is Alfredo Conce, TV3 News.
Alfredo Conce earlier on was at the 37 Military Hospital there, and we'll get you more from the situation as men and women get to the various locations. Now, family members and scores of NDC supporters have thronged the North Ridge home of former Vice President Pakwesi Mr. Arthur, who died this morning at the 37 Military Hospital.
He drove himself with the wife to the gym, and at the gym, after the exercise, they were doing some aerobics. He collapsed. They managed to resuscitate him and rush to 37, and even there, 30 minutes after, he relapsed again and he couldn't make it again. And this is really a very big loss to us as members of the NDC. We in Parliament, he's been a great inspirational person to us. We really miss him. But we want to take this opportunity to extend our greatest condolence to the family. On behalf of the Minority Caucus, we extend our condolences to the family. And we hope and pray that the good Lord will strengthen them during this period of trials, and hope that they'll find the strength to pull themselves together. And definitely we are going to be coming back to know the necessary arrangement, because it just happened. So the family said they've not been able to even put a thought together. So we'll definitely be coming back. And we believe that when we are coming back, we'll be coming back as a whole house, Parliament, to come and extend our condolence. But first, we just came, being a member of our family, to be sure what we heard. And now it's been confirmed. We are not going back to Parliament to inform the whole of the House what has been confirmed. And we are very sure the whole House will be coming either today or a time that the Speaker will designate. We will come back to express our condolences properly as a House.
So you
this must
how
really
would you describe your working relationship with him?
Well, you know, he was a very friendly person, very calm. You hardly see him in a struggle with anybody within the party. And so many instances when things are hot, he comes in to try to cool tempers. And he has a demeanor where his calmness helps, and he draws a lot of respect from all of us because of his calmness. So sometimes when even you have hot arguments and some misunderstanding, and he comes in, and by the time he speaks for a minute, he's able to get everybody to calm down and then think through whatever the challenges are. So it's a person that we would truly miss in the party, because knowing the binding figure he is, that most of the time he prefers that he talks behind the scene, quietly, not publicly, not harshly. And losing such a figure at the time that we are in all these moments in our great party is a big loss to us. And we are going to find it very difficult to get a replacement of him.
What do you think the nation will remember him for? I mean, you worked with him for a long time.
I mean, I'm sure that the nation will remember him as somebody who had been at the Minister of Finance, I mean, as Deputy Minister, as a governor, I mean, as our running mate to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and subsequently as Vice President of our country. And even during the most trying moment when we lost the election, I mean, his words of encouragement and calmness is something that we will forever remember and we will surely miss. Such a great figure and such a very useful person in our party. We will surely miss him.
Any memorable personal encounter you had with the late Vice President that you want to share with us?
Yes, I would say my launch of my campaign for 2016. I mean, he opted to be there. And he was there. And I remember it was raining. You were there. I mean, it was raining. He never said because he was the vice president, it was in the rains, he was going to leave us. He stayed with me till we launched the campaign. And thank God I was able to win, even though we couldn't win the general election. But he launched my campaign in Aswase, and we were able to galvanize ourselves through the launch. And the enthusiasm that he showed, even when it was raining and he was still standing in the rains with us, told our people that NDC is full of committed people, regardless of the time or weather. They will always be with each other. And this is something that I will never forget.
Thank you very much. So you heard the majority chief, the minority chief, I beg your pardon, Honorable Mohammed Mubarak Muntaka. We are currently at the residence of the former late Vice President Pakwesi Emisa Arthur, and leading figures of the opposition NDC have been pouring in to commiserate with the family and friends. And I have seen former Attorney General and Minister of Justice Marietta Brew-Hammond, former Minister of Sports Elvis Efri-Ankra. I spoke to Elvis Efri-Ankra, and for him, Pakwesi Emisa Arthur signifies one of the leaders. He's one of the leaders in this country that can never be forgotten because of his sense of humor, his wit, and intelligence. We've also been speaking to other leading figures of the party, and one thing ran through, their tribute to the former vice president. They tell us that he's a man of peace, he's witty, and they are going to forever miss him.
And Felix Akoyam is in the town, particularly the residence of the former Vice President Pakwesi Emisa Arthur, who passed on early this morning at the 37 Military Hospital. Early on, some NDC supporters and senior members of the party thronged the home of the former Vice President to share their condolences with the bereaved family. Sources within the family says he never showed any sign of sickness this morning.
I just left the wife. She doesn't even know what to do, and she was with him from the gym right up to 37, and then from there the rest is history.
How is she doing?
Well, what is expected of any wife to be doing? She's holding up to see visitors, but of course she's not in the right mind. Yeah, it's very difficult to believe he's gone. Bottom line, it's very difficult to believe he's gone. Yeah.
I know people will say this is not the right time, but some will say that this is a man that your party actually abandoned. This is a man that your party did not hold dear.
I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure that is true. I'm not sure that is true at all. No, that is not correct. But let's leave it in the hands of God. Yeah, let's get the best funeral we can get for him, and then we take it from there.
How would you describe him? His
We've
political
lost a lovely gentleman. We've lost a potential leader of this country. That is a fact. We've lost. Yeah, we just have to be brave and do what we have to do to put him to rest.
How much value does the NDC put on him now?
Jesus H. Christ. It's not measurable. You can't measure the value. He was vice president. He was deputy finance minister. He was governor of Central Bank. He was part of the party from beginning till this time. So the value is too great for comfort.
You said that you have just spoken with the wife. Yes. She was with him when he went to the gym, even up to the hospital where he finally gave up his life. Did she in any way speak, that's if she spoke to you, about ill health or anything?
No, I just left her. Nothing. He was fit. His blood pressure was right. His sugar level was right. He was fit. He did a full gym section until one security guy said, shouted his name, Veep, 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 and he fell. And then the doctors who were there looked at him and they said, oh, his pulse is fine. The little they could do, everything was fine. Let's take him to 37. They called 37. He got there with all the doctors ready for him. And after the first 15 minutes, everybody said he'll be fine. Don't worry, he'll be fine. Half an hour later on, they came back to tell the wife and the family that he's gone. Yeah, so it's a shock. I mean, it wasn't expected at all. Age of 67. How can you expect somebody at 67 to die? I'm 73 and I'm still alive. So that's the question I asked God. Why does he let me stay and let him go?
In fact, when I was at the IMF, I worked with him. He was then in a small consultancy called Sigma One. So we kept our relationship through his governorship and as vice president when I became a minister. So Pakwesi, if I should use the way we all call him, is somebody who is very intimate and very personal. You know, to me, a very big supporter, you know, of my career from day one. And even though he was also young at the time, I can say that because of his higher level of education at the time and insight and experience, he was a real mentor in the true sense of the word, and I'd become very, very close to the family through him. Coincidentally, his brother Jabesh also became my advisor when I put on the power hat. So it tells you how their sister Cecilia was in customs at the time. We lived together in Sakumono. So on a personal note, beyond knowing him, I've come to know through him his wife Matilda, you know, and so many. So it's a big loss, as I said, to me, you know, personally. The loss of a boss, the loss of a friend. And so that's the way I want to end my but let me end by saying that he has contributed a lot to the nation on the economic front.
So the tributes are pouring in, and residents of Sekondi Takoradi say they have received the death of the late former Vice President Pakwesi Mr. Arthur with shock. They pay glowing tribute to his infectious demeanor, which they say is worthy of emulation. They want the death to serve as a reminder that Ghanaians love their peace.
Former Vice President Pakwesi Emisata is dead. He died at the 37 Military Hospital this morning. We are on the streets of Takoradi to find out the mood of the people here.
Now we're Ghana this year. Your Vice President will be a you need Vice President Bia or May Mubio. Kufuor the Vice President, well, Rollins, the Vice President, friend and Kensen Aka, Onuzwu, John Mahama, the Vice President, Onuzwu. You heard the cry across war, man. Say, Susum Bonnie bin Abo, man, I say, a soft now. Omuju who diso man, Omubom Paya Man, Omu Hupa, not Adian. I
am Yao, Fide, Papa no jo, or Blen Hoas Menipa. Intimate any day, I adibia, no way room. Timameka, then I mean funny crazy. Oh, I papa no jo, Sebion Pecasa, no jo, or you be only giddy, every day, or man and poor can send me on your beard and no be shame bebre, or you be no jo, some suya boko.
I are Rehosem. The obi a wasum ɔman akodrum pempen so bi na ehwɛ ne age level na nke be hia dem nkrofo de obetron na asemi ba what advice ebema na man etumpon na mranten so oba na yafa ni so a ode bua Ghana ede som Ghana na de etwa na mo ama Ghana etumpon na mana konkan na ya rehosem
so popo bono juma po bezama Ghana no de nyodoye zaman na yetie nachi se bese na busuafo na yiri na namba nyina ya ba mo wan yakọ
mampo o kempo manti asokra ampo me so ye no kwa because me di do botu mu abande me yopa.
Staying in the Western Region, leadership of the NDC has directed that flags should fly at half-mast at all constituency offices in memory of the late Vice President Pakwesi Emisartha. First Vice Chairman Alhaji Fuseni Mahama says the party will forever remember the humility with which the late Vice President went about his duties and urged Ghanaians to emulate him.
Actually, the last time I saw him was I went for a NEC meeting and then I saw him and he looks healthy. So, in fact, it has really put our mourning out of gear. And we know that that is the work of God. You know, in this our political world, it's about numbers. And it's also sometimes about personalities. You know, people vote, people follow political parties based on the personalities. Then at the end of the day, then the party becomes supreme. So seriously, for now, I would say yes, it will affect the party. Immediately I heard it, I called my regional secretary. And then he said he has also heard it and that he's rushing to the office to hang a red flag at the office. And he has called all the party members in the region to hang red flags at the offices. And the executives, if anybody can get a red cloth, just hang it on his car to show to people that, in fact, we are sad about what has happened. In fact, we've called all the regional executives and the constituencies who are closer to open their offices and start receiving people. And we're also going to the party office and plan.
Well, and back here in the capital city, a book of condolence has been opened at the headquarters of the National Democratic Congress in memory of the late Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur. The party believes this will grant party faithfuls and the general public the opportunity to express their condolences and memories of the late Vice President.
The mood at the party's headquarters was not that of a normal working day, especially when the party had scheduled a demonstration in protest at the dismissal of the EC chair and her two deputies. But this was to be expected. A party stalwart and former Vice President of the Republic has passed on. At the reception venue lay placards meant for the demonstration, obviously shattering the party's agenda. Later, youth who had gone to the Obra spot had to abandon the dream of demonstrating and return. This time, people had started coming in one by one, either to confirm the news or share the sad news with other party faithful. Executives who had earlier left to verify the news were also returning.
His Excellency Kwesi Amissah is an exceptional politician. I mean, people always say that he doesn't look like a politician. He doesn't even belong to the political world, and that, you know, he's too good to be a politician. He's very humble, very affable. You know, he's very straightforward, and he's always driven by, you know, compassion.
Other executives shared fond memories of the former governor of the Bank of Ghana.
People who want to see him as firebrand person do not really know his make as a personality.
Today is not a day for any confrontation. Today is not a day for any protest. Maybe Almighty God in his own wisdom decided that this is the only thing that we will do at this time to prevent what may occur today.
Obviously, a gentleness many may have not condoned when he was alive, but a sad loss to the party and family. May his gentle soul rest in perfect peace.
Now let's go to the presidency. The president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has expressed shock and great sadness following the sudden death of the former vice president of Ghana, Kwesi Amissah-Arthur. The president stated that Kwesi Amissah-Arthur has been a long-standing public servant who discharged his duties with dignity. The news of his death is unfortunate since he appeared to have contributed a lot to the public life of the country. In a letter signed by the president, which stated that his thought and sympathies were with his wife, children, and family. He further extended his deepest condolences to them and also to the former president of the Republic, John Dramani Mahama, and to the NDC, of which the former vice president was a prominent member. In conclusion, the president stated that Ghana has lost a fine public servant.
Well, social media is also expressing lots of views there, and let's find out what some people are talking about and saying.
And those were on social media. But some other Ghanaians have expressed shock at the death of the former vice president. My colleague Nwang Falong went out for the reaction of people this morning.
It is a very sad day for Ghanaians as they learn about the sudden and unexpected death of the former vice president, Pakwesi Emisa Arthur. The former vice president was 67. We go on the streets to get the reactions of Ghanaians.
The man was a very honorable man. I'm a policeman, but when it comes to politics, the man is among one of the best. Yes, very fair and firm. He's up and doing. May the soul rest in perfect peace.
It struck me on a very personal level because I've met him on a few occasions and I felt he was a very calm man, but he radiated a lot of power and wisdom. Unfortunately, in our parts of the world, we wait till people are dead. Then we start to play their profile. Some people knew the kind of things he had done, his track record. We didn't even know. All we knew was his political life. And I wish he was going to be around longer to, let me say, enjoy the benefits or the things that he worked for, the things he contributed to. Because before he entered the political arena, he was Governor of the Bank of Ghana. I think these are people we should celebrate. These are people we should emulate.
I liked him. I like his personality. He was a cool and a calm person. I think he's affable, even though I haven't met him before. So it's a sad day for Ghana.
It's a very sad issue. In fact, when I heard it early this morning, I was so touched to see a patriot, let me put it that way, just going in that manner. Not even hearing of his sickness, but this sudden shock thing. The only thing I can say is condolences to the family and to NDC and then Ghana at large.
I shock me. Minister said the Mbeka, but the Mbet Miakache Nabusan for say, me mamu shedi. I no power because it's so serious.
When I think about it, I don't know what to say. But what I will say is, let us keep on praying for our leaders, because what they are going through, we don't know. They may be having some secret sickness in them that we don't know. So let us keep on praying for them.
Also, following the demise of the former vice president, Emisa Arthur, there we have it. There's actually no surviving retired vice president under the Fourth Republic currently. Now, you would recall under J.J. Rawlings, Colin Kensing, Akai, and subsequently John Evans Atta Mills, they all are deceased. Also under J.A. Kufuor, Aliu Mahama, also deceased, and currently under John Mahama, Pakwesi Emisa Arthur is also gone. So currently, no surviving former retired Vice President of the Republic.
All right, and let's get onto the phone lines. Cletus Avoka is a former majority leader of Parliament. He was on the side of the NDC. Good evening, sir. Grateful for your time.
Thank you very much, and good day to all your listeners.
How did you receive the news this morning?
Very sad, very unfortunate, very troubling. I've known him for pretty 10 to 15 or 20 years in the NDC since 1993 up to date. And I think that he's one of the most decent politicians that this country has produced. He was very affable in office, and he was very approachable. I think that his death is a big loss to the family, to the NDC fraternity, and to Mara Ghana as a whole.
What has the party lost?
Well, not just the party. Of course, first and foremost, the family and then the party. The party has lost one of its stalwart leaders. I recall that in 2012, when President Atamils passed on, and he was nominated from the office of as Governor of Bank of Ghana to become the Vice President, there was a public furore argument as to whether he should be vetted or not vetted. And as the then majority leader, I consulted him on the issue, and he had no difficulty in agreeing with me that his vetting will help deepen democracy in the country and also consolidate accountability. So on those two grounds per se, he agreed that he ought to subject himself to the people of Ghana through their elected representatives. So he was vetted in Parliament, and he exhibited professionalism, sound knowledge on the economy of Ghana, of public life and private life. So both sides of the House were appreciative of his demeanor, very humble, meek, and very knowledgeable. And I think that he served Mother Ghana to the best of his ability. And dying at the age of 67, I think that's too premature. He could have lived for the next 10 or 20 years to help Mother Ghana still. But God knows better, and then we have to accept what God has given to us and has taken away again.
I'm grateful for your time with us, former majority leader, Honorable Cletus Avoka, talking to me about the death of the former Vice President, Pakwesi Emisa Arthur. Now, he led a public life worthy of emulation. Let's listen to some memorable sound of the former Vice President, Pakwesi Emisa Arthur.
Wase oizu wase wabaha 10 o'clock no binu wabai ye de ho ase de waba na wa twen me ya ba na ye wobaka sakakra oizu ndc henyu abiro ye mezago henyu abir papa se Missy, Henry Aber, Maban, Missy Henry Aber, your dad. Ejuma P. Wo ho de ye.
Yanshe electricity now washen. School now, Yabasha de Yesin, a Quanen Nensu, na Biara Hospital, a Danuma na hospital one, no your private, or that district into when your home hospital. On okay, Jumana, Yerba that Chiadundo.
But I don't know the information the president has. I don't know whether this current unstable, this armed robbery and daylight robbery things that are happening are foreign interventions which require the military or not. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But I'm saying that even if it didn't have any foreign. There was no foreign role. The fact that the military is available to help us to secure us is good, and
Some sounds of former Vice President Pakwesi Emisa Arthur, who passed on this morning. We have more coming up later on, but time to take a break. And when we're back, we'll tell you more about the Electoral Commission and what the President has decided and the reaction. Stay with us. We're back in a moment.
You're welcome back to the Midday News. And also, the former vice or the deceased vice president was also involved in the economics of the country. He served as a governor of the Bank of Ghana from 2009 to 2012. The business desk takes a look at his life as a governor.
He served as governor of the Bank of Ghana from 2009 to 2012, after which he was selected by former President Mahama to become Ghana's vice president.
If all of us as Ghanaians, political parties, organized labor, religious bodies, traditional authorities, academia, and all the people who have raised legitimate concerns about the performance of the economy will agree on the measures that have been taken and support the government in implementing the measures that we agreed in Senchi, would achieve a stable macroeconomic status earlier than the 3 years we have suggested to the International Monetary Fund.
The late Pakwesi Bekwene Mr. Arthur had been involved in the team of technocrats who managed Ghana's Structural Adjustments Program since 1980s. He served as chairman of Ghana International Bank, Public Limited Company, and was its director, November 25, 2009. During his reign as governor, he took some key decisions and contributed to the development of the banking sector. The late Kwesi Emisa Arthur was a research assistant at the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research between 1974 and 1975. He worked as a consultant of the World Bank in the Gambia and the Netherlands Government Education Project in Ghana. He then worked as a senior economist for the Sigma One Corporation in Ghana between 1998 and 2000. The late Mr. Arthur holds a master's degree in economics and has lectured in economics at the University of Ghana and also at the Anambra State College of Education in Nigeria. The late Mr. Arthur, prior to his appointment, worked as a private consultant and economist.
We intend to benefit from their insight and their experiences in what the policies we are discussing and whether they will work as they have done so in other countries. The IMF can provide assurances that we are in the right path in the choices we make, and will point out to us in all honesty, some people say brutal honesty, when the implementation of the policies that we have selected is not up to the standard that is expected of us.
Right, and that was bye to Africa for the World Cup. Now, time to talk some more politics, because the PPP has welcomed President Akufo-Addo's decision to remove the EC boss and her deputies. But first, let's take a look at how members of Parliament reacted to the removal of the EC boss and her two deputies.
This harmony. I belong to the Special Budget Committee. When the chairperson came to defend their budgets at our committee, I remarked that the moral right, you see, of the chairperson, because they were under investigation. So maybe the president was even charitable. He should have even suspended all of them.
3 individuals, Ghanaian citizens, filed these things against the personalities. And the president set up a committee, the Chief Justice set up a committee to look into the allegations, to find out whether what they said about them being incompetent, conflict of interest in their jobs and all those things, they should go through it to see. And when they brought their findings, the president could not do anything apart from acting on Article 1469.
I was displeased hearing that announcement be made by the president of the land. I do not think that is the way to go. The reality is that the NPP, led by Nana Akufo-Addo, even before they came into office, had prejudged this woman and had indicated that they were going to remove her. And so it's not predicated necessarily on the outcomes of what they claim, are the reasons for which she's been removed.
The PPP has welcomed that decision to remove the EC chair and her two deputies. A statement issued by the party noted there was a need to ensure a house cleaning. My guest is the National Secretary of the party, Murtala Mohammed. Good afternoon. Grateful for your time. So the party received this news excited.
Not exactly. You know, even before the Judicial Committee, we have called on the EC to resign. We think that the allegation that is being leveled around is grave enough for them to resign. There was no need for them to stay in office and waste our time.
So once they were removed, the party was excited.
I mean, it's good for democracy, it's good for Ghana. It is for Ghana's good. It has nothing to do with our party. That's what we fight for, good governance.
You pushed for their removal.
Well, if the evidence is clear that there has been financial malfeasance, there has been procurement breach, there has been illegal transfer of votes, what do you expect? We can only call for the right things to be done.
Some have argued that if there are breaches of procurement rules, the sanctions are not removal from office.
Of course, if there was no petition, but immediately somebody petitioned the president, one force is clear as to what to do. You just refer the matter to the Judicial Committee, and they are asking for removal. Indeed, the report is saying that all the counts, they were at fault. So there's nothing somebody can do. This is legal and it's acceptable, and they were given the right of response. We are not in a banana republic. They went through the process and they were found guilty.
What does this leave the Electoral Commission, the state in which it will be after this removal? And what should be done next? Let's wrap up on that.
Integrity. As far as we are concerned, once the 3 commissioners were left to be at post, we were going to have a lot of problem with them. People will not believe in that institution because clearly all they have leveled against each other was a clear violation of our constitution. It's not only misbehavior or misconduct as reported in the reports. It's criminal too, and that's why we in PPP are waiting to get the full report so we can take steps to ensure that the criminality aspect is dealt with. They cannot be left alone. I mean,
all right. Murtala, I'm grateful for your time with us. Murtala Mohammed is the National Secretary of the PPP. Time now to talk about international news. A petrol tanker has caught fire in Nigeria's biggest city, Lagos, killing at least 9 persons. Officials say more than 50 vehicles, including 5 buses, were set ablaze after the truck lost control and spilled its contents on a busy motorway during rush hour. The tanker is said to have crashed after its brakes failed.
And that'll be it for Midday Live on TV3. It's been myself, Efwati Ekuand.
And I'm Bright. And there is more on 3news.com. And of course, you can also join us later on News 360 for more. Have a good afternoon.
Good afternoon.